Okay. Why rich people love pretending to be poor. This sounds really freaking weird. Let's watch it.
This is Hannah Nealman. Hannah and her husband Daniel own Ballerina Farm. On this farm, the Nealmans live a picturesque farmhouse lifestyle with their children in tow. The farm looks
All
like
right.
it was made in the 1800s, and the family kind of does too. Hannah records this quaint farm life and publishes it all online to her combined 8 million followers. The video showed the Nealmans' life on this adorable, modest homestead. Hannah spends her days baking rustic loaves of bread from scratch or hand milking cows with her children. It's very pastoral and very romantic. The videos seem to say, hey, we live in an old, rundown farm and we make the best of what we have.
If this is the person that horses is going on, I can kind of understand like what these people are doing from 2 points. One point is whatever, I don't know who any of these people are, so I got no horse in the race essentially. um what people, I mean, I don't know how they like got popular or anything like that, but if these people are actually being truthful and not playing a character, then there's no real reason that living like a poor person is that bad. I mean, they got their farm, their fields, their animals, and by a lot of people's standards, that's, you got to have like some amount of money to have all of that. But having like like if these people are probably like millionaires, like multimillionaires or whatever, and if these guys are just comfortable just living like this or whatever, there's nothing wrong with this if they truly think that this is fine. I mean, and honestly, I think this is fine too. Like, but the other thing is that if these people are playing just a character, like a facade for their audience, and this whole, like, this house and the farm is just like one piece of property that they own, but their real house is in like California. It's like some 5-10 million dollar home. And that's where they live, and then they'll like ride out here to like shoot videos and whatnot. Then that feels shitty and misleading to your audience. And and I can understand people would take issue with that, like hanging on to the character aspect of building up a social media. Oh, look at our poor ass house. Look at all these like scuff marks on the wall. Look at these like old amber lights and so on and so forth. It feels misleading to your audience versus actually thinking that this is fine and it being actually really fine. Like, there's no issue with this.
It's all genuinely quite charming.
Yeah.
Except Hannah and Daniel are billionaires. Daniel's father
Oh shit. I thought they were like 8 million followers. I'm like, okay, they're probably like multi-billionaires. They're billionaires. Jesus. What the fuck?
founded JetBlue Airlines, and Daniel
Oh, they founded JetBlue. Oh, okay.
is the heir to that empire. This fact is left out of all of their videos, I would argue quite conspicuously. I don't think the Nealmans are pretending to be poor, but they are co-opting poverty as an aesthetic, or at least some bizarre fictional version of it.
Oh, so they're insanely rich, but they're just pandering to their audience and just selling the image that, hey, we're just like you and blah blah blah. And I mean, if there's no real malintent to what they're doing, then I think this is fine. They're not really hurting anybody, I think. But again, I don't know the whole story.
Poverty in the modern world is not baking bread or milking cows, and we'll talk about that later. But this video is not about putting...
And also, what's really funny, it's never enough for really like anybody in general, it's not enough to have money. You need to have some sort of notoriety slash clout slash some sort of fame. That's what a lot of just nameless who rich people, that's what they don't have, and that's what they want. They want that clout, you know? Even though they might have like be multimillionaires and so on and so forth, blah blah blah. You know, you see like the sharks on Shark Tank, they're all like multimillionaires. And then Mark Cuban, the biggest shark, is like multi-billionaire. They're all they all got about the same level of clout. They all got their little bit of notoriety. So they got the best of both worlds. Oh, I got the money and the clout. But there are vastly way more people that have like an extreme amount of wealth, but they're still unhappy because they don't have that fame, the notoriety, which they want.
Hannah and her family on blast because A, who cares? And B,
Mm-hmm.
the Nealmans are not the first rich people to treat poverty like a fashion statement. What they are doing
Oh, dang.
is not unique at all. Rather, it is a symptom of a much more popular phenomenon that has been around for a really long time. Longer than you probably think. Today, though, beamed through social media by influencers and celebrities alike, it all feels especially depraved. Why is this happening? Why is being poor the new being rich?
From the perspective that being poor, well, it's because being poor is relatable. And these people want to feel relatable, even though they might, like, not gonna lie, a lot of like Fortune 500 companies and so on and so forth, I don't know who the fuck owns like all these shit. I don't know who the shareholders are. I don't know who the stakeholders are. They're all who's. They're all nobodies to me. But that still doesn't fix the fact that there's gonna be that guise for them, of them not being relatable to people. I think wasn't there like a Price is Right episode way back in the day where I think Bill Gates went on it or whatever, and he got I think he got put on like he got like a thing, right, and he got called up to like go to a game or whatever, and the game was you had to guess the prices of these like common day goods, and I think it was some game. Like I said, you got to guess the price, and it's like 5 items or something. It's like carton of eggs, a thing of peanut butter, I don't know, some shoe polish, a hair dryer, and something else. I don't remember. But every item he went to, he guessed like prices that were just way out of the ordinary. And I think this was the time with Bob Barker. And like for example, the jar of peanut butter, I think he guessed I don't know, $20. And I really wish I would have watched that episode. I don't know, maybe I'll go do it later to see if it's still there on YouTube or whatever. But it seems like I was just told the crowd got progressively just more booey towards Bill Gates because he was so out of touch with reality that he couldn't guess the prices even within a modicum of like reasonable margin, that everyone just booed him because he was so out of touch. And so when you're out of touch with reality, that makes you seem unrelatable and dislikable. It's nothing new.
Marie Antoinette was the last queen of France before the French Revolution. Goes without saying, she was extremely, extremely wealthy. Indeed, she was known for her opulent lifestyle. During her reign, Marie Antoinette built what is called La Hameau de la Reine, or the Little Hamlet. She recruited workers to create a modest village for her, basically in her backyard. It was designed to look like an everyday peasant village, complete with farm animals like goats, cows, and sheep.
Really? That's what she did? I had no idea.
Altogether, the queen built 5 brand new buildings. These cottages mimicked those found in the idyllic French countryside. Of course, without all the dirt, starvation, and rampant deadly disease.
Oh.
One of the cottages was made for the queen and her immediate attendants, while the others housed the peasants who actually worked on the farm. If stories are to be believed, Marie Antoinette often found herself bored and or frustrated by the trappings of royalty. Okay. When the world just got to be too much for her, the queen would go to her farm and dress up like a peasant. Literally. Marie Antoinette would change from her royal garb into peasant clothes, into a plain muslin dress.
Well, at least she did that. A lot of people, I would imagine, I'm just guessing and bullshitting, a lot of people in like royalty probably don't even do that. So I guess at least, or unless this was like a one-off event, she just tried it one time and then she's like, oh, this is boring, this sucks, I'm just gonna go back to my castle or whatever. Like if she made it like a thing to like go out and try to seem more relatable, I guess that's fine. I don't know, let me keep watching.
She and maybe some friends would milk cows, tend gardens, and play with animals. After a few...
Bro, and this just hit me. If you think it's bored being a peasant, surprise! That's life for a peasant. You know? If you're bored of milking a cow or getting eggs and doing all this like farm work, you gotta understand that people do this to live. If they don't do this, they're not living. So that's why you're bored. Is because your life does not depend on you doing all of this perceived bored farm work.
Few days of make-believing she was poor, Marie Antoinette would return to her royal lifestyle. In fairness, this story isn't really accepted as fact by historians. It's something like an urban legend.
Oh.
But the fact that it has persisted tends to indicate a degree of plausibility.
Oh.
It feels like something that tasteless, out-of-touch rich people like Marie Antoinette would do. Because it is. We don't have to go that far back in time to find it happening. Kim Kardashian recently did a photo shoot where she dressed up.
Oh my god. Well, hey, everybody knows fucking Kim Kardashian, okay? Like, if she wants to do some fucking photo shoots of like, oh, look at me, I'm poor, or doing all these rustic photos, or however you want to call it, everybody knows, like, that's not your life. You're just doing it as like a little art piece.
Up like a milkmaid. This is eerily similar to the tales about Marie Antoinette.
Okay, yes, it's same, but not same. Like, back in the day, like, the Marie Antoinette queen, like, they didn't have internet back in the day. This person is known, like, throughout the United States, if not the world. This person is just, you know, known throughout France. That's it. So, there's a little bit of, like disconnect here. Like, this person, I mean, I don't know what it was back in the day.
In a way that is simultaneously repulsive, dystopian, and wholly unsurprising.
Was it the purpose to seem more relatable? Wait for this like photo shoot? Or was it just supposed to be like, hey, I'm gonna go do a shoot and I'm just gonna have like the farm as a backdrop and I'm gonna dress in some farm shit and just have it be like an artsy thing? I mean, because if that's the case, then that's the case. But if she's doing it because she wants to seem more relatable, well then yeah, it's repulsive, dystopian, and unsurprising. But I don't really think the little art shoot was... I mean, I didn't even know she did this fucking thing. Who gives a shit?
The luxury brand Balenciaga sold dirty shoes with holes.
Oh my god. Oh, okay, yeah, this... Who would buy this? Literally, who would buy this? Jesus. Okay, this is probably a little tone deaf. Who's gonna buy this? In an attempt... Like, all these frays, like... Bro, the bottom of the sole isn't worn flat, okay? Everybody knows when you wear a shoe down to shit, the first thing that starts coming up is the toes and the seams on the soles, okay? This is not poor. How are you gonna have a poor-ass looking shoe and it's not even flat? You know, and you want to have your stamp of Balenciaga on it. Bro, if you wanted to make this more poor, You could have had the same design. Fuck all these stupid little frays and shit. Like, look at this chunk right here. Have this shit be almost flat and very lightly tap your little Balenciaga doodad in there. All right, it's like someone just took the shoe and took the sole, and I don't know, rubbed like a cheese grater on it. Maybe just scuffed it up with like some metal tools or something or whatever in order to simulate it. But like, this is so stupid. And there's holes. Where are these holes? How are you gonna get these holes? Like right here. Okay. And what, you're gonna have a perfect inside of the shoe? I can't even see the inside. Like all these frays and shit. Oh my god.
Holes in them for $2,000. Retail giant Urban Outfitters has said their aesthetic is, quote, upscale homeless.
Upscale homeless. Okay, yeah, that's pretty tone deaf.
All of this is super weird and feels kind of out of touch.
Yeah.
The whole fake poor thing can also be seen in the entire phenomenon of van life.
Van life.
I'm sure there are plenty of van lifers that are not rich. But I know, and everyone else knows, that a lot of van lifers are just 20-somethings who came from money.
Really? I had no idea this was a thing. A van life person. I have watched a couple videos where like the dude just lives in a van, but he has like a decked out like battle station, like PC gaming setup. And he's like playing like World of Warcraft on that shit. And he's like, yeah, I took this van I got for $500. It's got over 200,000 miles on it, and I re-outfitted it with this battle station. Let's look inside. I've seen those type of videos, but I have no idea that this was an actual little niche of a community.
I mean, these vans can cost north of $100,000.
Oh my god.
Van lifers have basically just gentrified homelessness. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with living in a van, but it is a very obvious example of the rich pretending in some way to be poor. Rich van lifers can be poor without the hard parts about actually being poor. They have safety nets. They don't have to struggle to eat. When rich people live in a van, it's cool. When poor people do it, they're seen as somehow less than.
Yeah, that's a good statement. There's no safety net. Oof, that is true. Yeah. But then, I mean, what's really tough sometimes is trying to figure out what is rich and what is poor. Like, I would say you're either living paycheck to paycheck or you're not. And I think that's like a good enough definition for most people. It's like, oh, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. This sucks ass. Or, I saved up a little bit of money and I don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. But if something epic happens, like epically bad or critical, like a crisis or something, then yeah, I'm pretty fucked. And then there's that whole, oh, I saved up 6 months of salary and now I got this like lump of money and I'm still more or less, doing the paycheck to paycheck thing, but I'm still being like conscientious of my money. And I don't know. There's like it's varying levels, it seems.
But all of this gets really boring. Who
Yeah.
cares what rich people do? Sitting around complaining about it, rattling on.
It's because it's attention seeking. And attention seeking at all levels is annoying. For the sake of attention seeking. Not attention seeking for the sake of like a thing. Like, hey, look at this thing. This sucks. Can we do something about this? Like, bring awareness to something. That's like bringing attention to something like that is I would say fine. But bringing attention to yourself because you want attention on you is stupid.
Off chief offenders is not a worthwhile use of time. What is really interesting, though, are the reasons why rich people love to act poor and what it says about.
I actually had no idea that rich people acted poor. I know one guy, but that's beside the point. I didn't know that this was an actual trend.
Our world.
But why?
Perhaps the number one way to show off wealth has always been some form of exceptionalism. The rules of society don't apply to a person because they are wealthy and they want to broadcast that.
Yes. There is no such thing as a fine when it comes to laws. There are only fees to do things as a multi-billionaire.
Look at this huge house. Look at this expensive car. I have all of these things, and they make me different from regular society. I am rich, therefore I am exceptional. The standards and expectations of real life do not apply to me.
Dang, that's true. Not really.
You can tell by
Sometimes.
the way my life is, by the things I own. So, keeping that in mind, today we live in a world inundated by, well, everything.
Yeah.
We are expected to both produce and consume as much as possible. Our entire lives revolve around work, which is just a way to produce goods or services, or more accurately, money. The first thing we ask people is what they do for a living, which is basically just another way to ask what they produce.
Yeah.
Your level of production is perhaps the most valued trait in modern Western society.
Yeah.
So, what if you can go live on a farm? What if you can spend all day producing a single loaf of bread, and that's it? In a world driven by productivity, producing nothing is the most exceptional, elite thing you can do.
What?
Information overload was once something we struggled with. Now it's just something we must endure in order to survive. We have to be constantly plugged in, or we can't do our jobs. We can't be connected to our families or our loved ones. Without a constant stream of news, we become ignoramuses who don't pay attention to the world around us.
Bro, I am literally an ignoramus. I don't really watch TV anymore at all. Like, I just watch whatever's online, you know, all the online shit, YouTube. I hesitate to say Reddit, Twitter, whatever. But I don't think I go like crazy overboard where I'm like, I gotta swipe and see what's new, switch to new and see what's everything new. Like, I don't think I'm that bad with it.
But if you have enough money,
But I have been doing it for a long time, okay? I am a casual internet tourist.
you have the privilege of escaping this reality. You don't need to deal with information overload. You can just bake your bread on your farm or whatever. The pop singer Ed Sheeran famously doesn't have a phone, but I guarantee you he pays someone to have a phone for him.
Yeah. That
Being
seems pretty
completely
right.
removed from the world around us has always been a hallmark of the rich. But today's world looks very
Well, yeah, because if you go out into the real world as a notable rich person without bodyguards, that's just a no-no. You just don't do that, I think. Like, you're just going to be swarmed by people. Oh, can I get your autograph? Can I get a picture? Can I get this? Can I get that? Can you... oh, Cornel, can you sign my tits? Oh, Cornel, can you sign my dick? I'm like, no, please, stop. Guys, leave me alone, please. I just want to go to the gym. Gosh.
very different than it once did. So being removed from it does as well. Perhaps people are so fed up with the rat race that winning it is no longer aspirational. Instead, ducking out of it altogether is the pinnacle of success.
Yeah, you remove yourself from regular society so much that you create this bubble around you to where the people you work with and you see day to day, they're connected to the society, so you try to get like all your news from them or whatever. But you yourself are probably going to be a little disconnected. And it's hard to step back and to view yourself from that third person perspective because you're hit with such criticism.
Today there is a growing voice of disdain for the ultra wealthy. Anyone can hear it, whether you are part of it or not.
Yeah.
Types of media being produced, the rise of Bernie Sanders, the general discourse in America. People don't like the rich in the way they perhaps used to. Every week, the rich are being blamed, maybe deservedly, for many of the problems in our society. But by pretending to endure a struggle, the rich hope to gain two things: acceptance and respect.
No. That is... Yes, that's true what he just said, but this is not how you earn acceptance and respect. As much as they want it, you know, as much as like everybody hates like Mark Zuckerberg or whatever, a little piece of me can respect the fact that he's doing the whole Brazilian jiu-jitsu thing and he's like getting good at it. All right. I can respect that as like a fellow fitness guy / gym goer type person. All right. I think that's fine. You can like dislike him for other aspects of his life or whatever, but that little piece, I'm like, okay, good. He's going through some little hardships right there. Good.
When celebrities or influencers dress up like milkmaids and play farmhouse, they are saying, hey, I'm like you. I have struggles. Things are hard for me.
But everybody knows that that's not true. And I think it's tone deaf to try to put out something like that and make that statement.
So the idea is that regular people will accept them. The
No.
irony here, of course, is that these people are so far removed from poverty, they have no clue how to even imitate it.
That's so true. Oh my god, yeah, that is true, man.
The contemporary struggle does not take place in a farmhouse. By pretending
It takes place in the physical world around you and up here. That's where it takes place. All right? If you're just struggling and like from job to job, you're just going from paycheck to paycheck, it fucking sucks. You know? Oh, dang, tonight I got to have rice and beef or rice and chicken, you know, seemingly simple meal because that's all you can really afford. Yeah, that sucks. You have to go to work to a job you don't even want to go to. You have to deal with that mental thing. And so you have this like chronic increasing level of just stress. It's not like physical stress, like you're in a fight or flight situation, but it's a chronic level of just increasing stress.
to have struggles, the rich also tap into the idea of the world as a meritocracy. Rich people show themselves struggling with the implication that they deserve their wealth because they worked hard just like everybody else.
No, not really. I mean, if you got a lot of money because you put in the work, I don't really think that's the worst thing in the world. But if you got a lot of money just because you inherited it from your parents, because my dad owns a dealership, or you know your parents died and you just inherited all their shit. I mean, well, you didn't really earn it; you just got it because it's a participation thing. Hey, here's your participation trophy. You live long enough to inherit all your parents' shit. Good job. Well, for the most part, you didn't really earn that. You just got it by simply being there.
The hope, perhaps, is that this will produce a respect for the so portrayed hard work that earned the rich their wealth. Last year, when asked what advice she had for women looking for success, Kim Kardashian said they just needed to get their asses up and work. This was obviously misguided advice, but it was also a message to viewers that, hey, look at me, I've worked hard. You should like me. I deserve what I have. Maybe. Maybe not. But the point remains, this is incredibly bad advice that feeds into an absolutely bogus narrative. And we will.
Wait, what's wrong with get your ass up and work? I mean, I don't really want to go down that whole rabbit hole of like red pill versus blue pill, feminine versus masculine bullshit, but I mean, America is 50% women. I don't think that's necessarily like the worst advice. What would be? I'm curious to what a better piece of advice would have been. What would have been a better advice for her to have given so that it wouldn't come off tone deaf? Besides, get your ass up and work. I mean, if you tell that to a guy, everyone's like, okay, great, that's a normal piece of advice. But what is a piece of advice that she could have given to women that would have sounded better? I'm curious.
We'll come back to that soon. So what? Who cares? Rich people can do whatever they want with their money or their influence. What difference does it make? Well, it's just ethically bankrupt to dress up as poor people for a day.
Yeah.
It's gross on a moral level.
You don't have to dress up as like a fucking poor person, all right? Can you just dress like a normal person? How about that? Just be normal. It doesn't have to be like luxury. Like you have like two polar opposites, like a rich person, some idea of whatever your idea of like a rich person, what they would wear, and some idea of like what I don't know, a poor person / homeless person would wear. How about just wear normal shit? I know normal's like weird and it's kind of vague, but I don't know, just figure it out. Stop trying to dress as like a polar opposite with your stupid poor ass Balenciaga Converses.
Beyond that, it is tremendously important for people to have some genuine grasp of other people's experiences.
But to be fair, I just remembered when I was a little kid, there was that trend for a good 10 years of having rips and shit in your jeans and on your shirt and tie-dye and in your shirt looking a little worn. So it's not just a rich people thing, all right? Middle class ass motherfuckers do this shit too, okay? There was that era where, and I don't know if it's still a thing, like, ooh, I got rips and holes in my jeans and rips and holes in my shirt. This shit's worn. I've been through some shit, all right? Middle class ass motherfuckers do this too, okay?
Fictionalized Pinterest-ready poverty is not a true reflection of real poverty. Choosing to live simply is not the same as being forced to. Performative poverty is a farcical, misleading representation of a very real struggle that millions have to endure every day.
Yeah.
High-profile rich people have an enormous amount of cultural influence. When they romanticize poverty, it makes poverty seem like a non-issue. It makes people think that struggling perhaps isn't so bad. Perhaps it's kind of cool. At the very least, it causes the widespread acceptance of poverty. And so there is no large-scale interest in doing anything about this huge problem. This also diminishes attention on all of the issues that fall under the umbrella of poverty. When it becomes cool or even normal to be poor, no one really does anything about systemic poverty.
Ooh, that was a good little insight. When you make it cool to be poor, you make it so nobody really has an issue about doing anything for the poor to help them not be poor. That is a really good thought.
You see, the reality is poverty isn't a necessity. Our society doesn't.
Ooh, I think there's a couple economists or whatever that would like to say otherwise. Like that, there's that whole, I don't know, I'm not anybody smart. There's that whole idea of like there has to be like a small percentage of like insanely wealthy people, a gigantic middle class, and some degree of like lower class. That like there has to be these three things, or else capitalism cannot exist, and so on and so forth in America. I don't know if that's true, but it's not really too much of an issue for the first, like the rich people. It's not too much of, it's not an issue at all for the rich people. It's not too much of an issue for the middle class, and it's a really big issue if you're over here. Okay, I would say yeah, that sucks.
Doesn't need to have people who literally starve to death.
Yeah,
we have a lot of money in the Western world. There are things we could actually do. But as long as we accept poverty as part of our society, it simply isn't a problem. It's just built in.
Yeah, and that sucks.
When the uber-rich romanticize poverty, they often paint a picture of a lower-class person working hard and overcoming their circumstances. This is possible, but it's not universally possible. There are many, many poor people who work hard every day and will still be poor forever.
Yeah.
To pretend otherwise is to absolve a system that has put millions of people into poverty. This narrative puts too much responsibility on the individual and not enough culpability on the world and circumstances around that individual.
That is true. A lot of people do not want to admit how much luck was involved in them having some sort of like breakthrough moment of so on and so forth. And then I did this, and then all of a sudden through sheer luck, this happened and I got this connection, and then I was able to do this because of that connection. and so on and so forth. Yeah, a lot of people don't want to admit how lucky they are. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, to some degree, a lot of people, even in the middle class, are lucky. Like everybody, like there was, like in even this like giga rich class and even the middle class, like are extremely lucky to like at least in like the Western world or whatever. Um, because we spawned in the United States, and if you spawn in the United States, then you have like a pretty good chance to have like an okay life. Whereas if you spawn somewhere else, like a second world or a third world country, then chances are, it may have been different for you. Yeah. So everybody has like some degree of luck. Some people are extremely lucky. Some people are moderately lucky, and then other people are just have way worse luck.
Without culpability, there can be no change. We should not forget how depraved poverty is as a concept.
Oh yeah.
Humans should not have to struggle so much just to exist in society.
And he's stressing the word so much because there's like a couple levels, like there's like different variables you can add on like an XY chart or whatever. There's like luck, work, and stress. Or what did he just say? Or suffering. Like you shouldn't have to go through like everyone should be allowed to go through some stress and suffering for their shit. All right? Nobody's arguing that. People are arguing is the degree of how much like a lower class person suffers. That's the conversation.
Society. People shouldn't have to live that way. People deserve to be happy.
Good video. I like that one. That was a good one. Freaking awesome. Yeah, Horses does like awesome shit. Really cool retrospective type stuff. Was this like 5 months old? I'm late to the party again. But yeah, I mean it was really cool. I had no idea that this was a thing, that rich people pretending to be poor, the whole Balenciaga poor shoes or whatever. But yeah, this was pretty cool. I liked it. I want to see some more. But yeah, that's pretty much for me, man. So go check out Horses. He's awesome. And until the next one, I'll catch you guys later. All right. Peace.